Hello, my name is Octavian Caisobada. I'm a Romanian apologist currently living in upstate New York. I am a retired nurse practitioner with Doctor of Nurse Practice. I teach apologetics at Vax Dei Institute of Apologetics and at the Baptist Theological Institute in Bucharest, Romania. My work focuses on Christian theology, philosophy, and the defense of Christian faith in dialogue with contemporary intellectual and cultural challenges, as well into the argument for the intelligent design. In the second volume of the Freedom Before God series, I set out to explore one of the deepest tensions within Christian thought, the relationship between the sovereignty of God and human freedom. While the first volume, The God of Freedom, Classical Foundation and Metaphysics of Sovereignty, established the metaphysical foundation of classical theism and the nature of God, the second volume shifts to discuss towards the major theological and apologetic models that seeks to explain how freedom and providence coexist. Now, I wrote this book because I observed that many debates surrounding predestination, election, and freedom are often conducted within a climate of polarization, oversimplification, and even theological hostility. So rather than treating those subjects as confessional weapons, I have attempted to approach them as real, difficult, and unavoidable questions for every Christian seeking to understand the nature of God and human responsibility. In the first part of this volume, I analyze the tension between sovereignty and freedom to the lens of the major Protestant models, Calvinism and Arminianism. My aim is not merely to present the doctrine, but to understand the philosophical, hermeneutical, and apologetic foundation that sustain them. I discuss both the intellectual strength and each perspective and their theological and pastoral difficulties. I seek to demonstrate why this debate has endured for centuries and why it cannot be reduced to simplistic slogans or confessional caricatures. An important chapter is devoted to open theism, one of the most influential modern reinterpretation of the divine knowledge and providence. And here I explore the reasons this perspective has become attractive within contemporary culture, because its emphasis on relationality, authentic freedom, and the problem of evil. Now, at the same time, I examine the major implications open theism carries for classical divine attributes as omniscience, immutability, eternity, and divine sovereignty. On the second part of the book, I expand the dialogue behind the Protestant framework and explore how the historic Christian tradition have approached the relationship between God and human freedom. I analyze both the Thomistic and Molinistic perspective within the Catholic tradition, showing how each attempts to reconcile divine providence with creaturely freedom. I was particularly interested in the apologetic value of those models and in the way they respond to the modern challenges concerning determinism, the problem of evil, and human dignity. I also devoted a chapter to the Eastern Orthodox tradition, which offers a distinct and deeply relational perspective of freedom and providence. Here I discuss concepts such as synergism, theosis, and the distinction between the divine essence and energies. And I consider it essential to include this perspective because it's introduced an essential and spiritual dimension into the debate that is either neglected in purely philosophical or systematic disputes. And in the final part of the volume, I return to scripture and to the practice of apologetics. I attempt to show that the problem of sovereignty and freedom cannot be resolved to the selective citation of isolated verses, but requires a canonical and coherent reading of the whole of biblical revelation. Scripture simultaneously affirm both the sovereignty of God and human responsibility, and this tension must be understood without reductionism or artificial simplification. A central emphasis of the book is also reflection on the way we practice apologetics themselves. Because in a culture marked by ideological aggression and constant conflict, I believe that Christian apologetics must be characterized by clarity, charity, and intellectual humility. And for this reason, one of the chapters is devoted to the danger of turning theology into a weapon and to the calling to defend truth without distorting God through loveliness or doctrinal triumphalism. Through this volume, I do not seek to provide simplistic answer to the mysteries of the divine providence. My goal is to offer a deeper theological, philosophical, and apologetic framework that helps readers think more clearly, more responsibly, and more faithfully about human freedom before God. Ultimately, this book it is an invitation to theological maturity, a serious reflection, and an apologetic shape, not only by truth, but also by wisdom and humility. This book is available on Amazon, Google Books, and Apple Books. And I have to mention that the original intent was specifically for the Romanian students in theology and apologetics, my students. And because I cannot explain well in Romanian since my youth and my life, I was raised in the United States, was much easier for me to write in English than in Romanian. So this book, the second volume, was also been translated and also published in Romanian for my students. Thank you for your time of listening to this short presentation.